What makes a life worth living? Is it wealth, fame, or the fleeting pleasures that come and go like shadows in a storm? In a world that often feels chaotic, where pandemics, economic uncertainty, and endless distractions pull us in every direction, these questions are no longer philosophical luxuries. They're urgent, they're personal, and deep down, you already know, the answer isn't found in bank accounts or social media followers. It's found in something far more enduring: virtue. Welcome to LABE Stoic, where we explore the timeless wisdom of Stoicism to help you navigate life's challenges with clarity, purpose, and inner strength. Today, we're diving into the heart of Stoic philosophy, the idea that virtue, living with wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, is the highest good. It's not just a nice idea, it's a roadmap for a meaningful life, especially in times like these, when the world feels unsteady and so many of us are searching for something real. Think about the last few years. The global pandemic turned our lives upside down. Jobs were lost, plans shattered, and uncertainty became the new normal. Even now, as we navigate economic turbulence and a culture obsessed with instant gratification, many of us feel a void. We've chased success, comfort, and validation, only to find they don't fill the emptiness. Why? Because external things, money, status, even relationships are fleeting. They come and go, subject to forces beyond our control. But there's one thing we can control: how we choose to live. And that's where virtue comes in. Stoicism teaches us that virtue is the only true good. It's not about being perfect or preaching morality from a high horse. It's about cultivating qualities that make you a better human being, no matter what life throws at you. The Stoics identified 4 cardinal virtues: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. These aren't abstract ideals. They're practical tools for building a life of purpose, resilience, and fulfillment. And in this video, we're going to unpack each one, show you how they shaped the life of one of history's greatest Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, and give you a challenge to bring these virtues into your own life. Why does this matter now? Because we're at a crossroads. The world has changed, and so have we. After the pandemic, people aren't just looking for ways to survive, they're searching for ways to thrive. Studies show that more Americans than ever are prioritizing meaning over materialism. A 2023 survey by Pew Research found that 68% of adults in the U.S. say they're re-evaluating what makes life fulfilling, with many turning to philosophy, spirituality, or personal growth. We're waking up to the truth that chasing external rewards leaves us hollow. Virtue, on the other hand, is an inner compass. It's the one thing no one can take away from you. Not a recession, not a crisis, not even time. Let's take a moment to reflect. Have you ever felt like you're running on a treadmill, chasing goals that never seem to satisfy? Maybe it's a promotion, a bigger house, or just the approval of others. The Stoics would say you're chasing preferred indifference, things that might be nice to have, but don't define your worth. Virtue, they argue, is different. It's the foundation of a good life because it depends entirely on you. No matter where you are, who you're with, or what's happening in the world, you can choose to act with wisdom, face challenges with courage, treat others with justice, and live with temperance. To bring this to life, we'll look at Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who ruled during a time of plague, war, and betrayal. Despite being one of the most powerful men in the world, he didn't measure his life by his throne or his wealth. He measured it by his character. In his private writings, Meditations, Marcus reminds himself to focus on virtue above all else. If, At some point in your life, you should come across anything better than justice, truth, self-control, courage. It must be an extraordinary thing indeed. His life wasn't easy, but his commitment to these virtues gave him the strength to lead with wisdom and endure with grace. In this video, we're going to explore each of the 4 Stoic virtues. We'll break down what they mean, why they matter, and how Marcus Aurelius embodied them in the face of immense challenges. Wisdom helped him see clearly in a world of confusion. Courage gave him the strength to face death and betrayal. Justice guided his decisions as a leader, and temperance kept him grounded, even when power could have corrupted him. These aren't just ancient ideas, they're principles you can apply right now, whether you're navigating a tough job, strained relationships, or just the daily grind of modern life. But we're not stopping at theory. Stoicism is about action. At the end of this video, I'm going to give you a challenge, a practical, week-long experiment to live these virtues in your own life. 1 virtue per day, for 4 days, with clear steps to make it real. It's not about changing your life overnight. It's about taking small, deliberate steps toward becoming the person you want to be. Because here's the truth. The world may be uncertain, but your character doesn't have to be. So, stick with me. Whether you're new to Stoicism or a seasoned practitioner, this journey into the 4 virtues will give you tools to face life's challenges with clarity and strength. Let's dive into the first virtue, wisdom, and see how it can transform the way you think and live. But before we do, take a moment to hit that subscribe button and join the LABE Stoic community. Together, we're building lives of purpose, one virtuous choice at a time. Welcome back to our journey through the 4 Stoic virtues. If you're just joining us, we're exploring the idea that virtue, living with wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance is the highest good, the key to a life of meaning and resilience. Today, we're diving into the first of these virtues, wisdom in Stoicism. Wisdom isn't just about being smart or knowing a lot of facts. It's about seeing the world clearly, making sound decisions, and aligning your life with what truly matters. It's the compass that guides you through life's storms, and it's the foundation of every other virtue. So, what exactly is wisdom in the Stoic sense? The Stoics defined wisdom as the ability to understand what is within your control and what isn't, and to act in accordance with reason and virtue. It's about cutting through the noise of the world emotions, distractions, societal pressures, and focusing on what's true. As Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Wisdom is that realization. It's the clarity to know that while you can't control the economy, other people's opinions, or even the weather, you can always control how you respond. Why does this matter? Because we live in a world that bombards us with confusion. Social media feeds us endless opinions. News cycles amplify fear and outrage, and our own minds can spiral into worry or regret if we let them. Wisdom is the antidote. It helps you step back, see things as they are, not as they seem, and make choices that align with your values. In a 2024 study by the American Psychological Association, 62% of Americans reported feeling overwhelmed by information overload, leading to anxiety and indecision. Wisdom cuts through that clutter. It's not about knowing everything. It's about knowing what matters. Let's look at how wisdom played out in the life of Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, whose writings in Meditations remain a cornerstone of Stoic thought. Marcus ruled during one of the most turbulent periods in Roman history. The Antonine Plague was ravaging the empire, killing millions. Wars raged on the borders. Political betrayals threatened his reign. Yet, amidst this chaos, Marcus didn't lose himself to panic or despair. He turned to wisdom. In Meditations, he wrote, "You have power only over your mind. When you are disturbed, it's better to think about it than to fight against it." This wasn't just philosophy, it was his lifeline. Consider one specific moment, the betrayal of Avidius Cassius, one of Marcus's trusted generals, who declared himself emperor in 175 CE. Most leaders would have reacted with rage or vengeance, but Marcus paused. He reflected. He asked himself what was within his control. Instead of lashing out, he sought to understand the situation. When Cassius was defeated, Marcus didn't gloat or punish harshly. He forgave those involved and worked to restore unity. That's wisdom in action, seeing clearly, choosing reason over emotion, and acting in alignment with virtue. Now, let's bring this closer to home. Wisdom isn't just for emperors, it's for all of us. Think about a time when you faced a tough decision. Maybe it was a conflict at work, a financial setback, or a personal relationship that tested you. The temptation is to react impulsively, to argue, to worry, or to avoid the problem altogether. But wisdom asks you to pause, to ask, what can I control here? What's the rational choice? What aligns with the person I want to be? Take Sarah, a 3-4-year-old marketing manager from Chicago. In 2023, she lost her job during a corporate layoff. The news hit hard, bills were piling up, and the job market was brutal. Her first instinct was to panic, to send out frantic applications and vent her frustration online. But then she remembered a Stoic principle she'd read about. Focus on what you can control. She couldn't control the economy or her company's decision, but she could control her mindset and actions. So, she took a step back. She evaluated her skills, networked deliberately, and used the downtime to learn new marketing tools. Within 3 months, she landed a better role. That's wisdom, turning chaos into clarity by focusing on what matters. How can you cultivate wisdom in your own life? Stoicism offers practical steps. First, practice the dichotomy of control. Every day, ask yourself, what's in my control? What's not? If you're stuck in traffic, you can't control the cars ahead, but you can control whether you stay calm or get frustrated. If a coworker criticizes you, you can't control their words, but you can control how you respond with dignity or defensiveness. This simple question cuts through emotional fog and keeps you grounded. Second, reflect daily. Marcus Aurelius wrote Meditations as a personal journal, not for publication. Every night, he'd reflect on his actions, asking himself where he fell short and how he could improve. You can do the same. Take 5 minutes before bed to ask, did I act with wisdom today? Did I let emotions cloud my judgment? What can I do better tomorrow? This habit builds self-awareness, the cornerstone of wisdom. Third, seek perspective. The Stoics loved a mental exercise called the view from above. Imagine zooming out from your life, seeing yourself as a tiny speck in the vastness of the universe. It sounds cosmic, but it's practical. When you're stressed about a deadline or a disagreement, ask, will this matter in a week, a year, a century? This perspective helps you let go of petty worries and focus on what's truly important. Finally, surround yourself with wisdom. Read Stoic texts, Marcus's Meditations, Epictetus's Discourses, or Seneca's Letters. Listen to people who challenge your thinking, not just those who agree with you. In a world of echo chambers, seeking diverse perspectives is a radical act of wisdom. As Seneca said, no man was ever wise by chance. It's a muscle you build through deliberate practice. Let's wrap this up with a challenge for you. Today, try one of these practices. Start with the dichotomy of control. The next time you face a frustrating situation, a delayed flight, a tough conversation, or an unexpected bill, pause. Ask yourself, what can I control here? Write down one action you can take, no matter how small, to respond with reason. Maybe it's taking a deep breath instead of snapping. Maybe it's reframing a setback as a chance to grow. This is how wisdom begins, one choice at a time. Wisdom isn't about being perfect. It's about striving to see clearly, to act rationally, and to live in alignment with your values. Marcus Aurelius faced a plague, wars, and betrayal. Yet he found peace through wisdom. You can too, whether you're facing a global crisis or the daily grind. As we move to the next virtue, courage, you'll see how wisdom lays the groundwork for facing life's challenges head on. Stay with us, because this journey is just getting started. Welcome back to our exploration of the 4 Stoic virtues, the pillars of a life well lived. We've already discussed wisdom, the ability to see clearly and act rationally in a chaotic world. Now, we turn to the second virtue, courage. In Stoicism, courage isn't about being fearless or charging recklessly into danger. It's about facing life's challenges, big and small, with resolve, knowing that you can endure whatever comes your way. Courage is the fuel that turns wisdom into action, and it's a virtue you can cultivate every single day. So, what is courage in the Stoic sense? For the Stoics, courage is the strength to act in accordance with reason and virtue. Even when it's difficult or frightening, it's about doing what's right, not what's easy. Whether you're facing physical danger, social pressure, or the quiet fears that live in your own mind. As Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, wrote, "Sometimes even to live is an act of courage." Think about that. In a world of uncertainty, economic downturns, personal setbacks, or the weight of daily responsibilities, simply showing up and choosing to act with integrity is courageous. Why does courage matter today? Because we're surrounded by reasons to shrink back. The post-pandemic world has left many of us anxious. A 2024 Gallup poll found that 55% of Americans report higher levels of stress than before the pandemic, citing financial pressures, social division, and fear of failure. We're bombarded with reasons to play it safe, to avoid tough conversations, dodge risks, or numb ourselves with distractions like binge-watching or scrolling. But courage is the antidote. It's what allows you to step into the unknown, to speak your truth, to keep going when life feels overwhelming. It's not about being a hero, it's about being human. Let's see how courage looked in the life of Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor whose Stoic practice guided him through unimaginable trials. Marcus ruled during the Antonine Plague, a pandemic that killed millions, including many close to him. He faced constant wars, from the Parthian conflict to rebellions on the empire's frontiers, and yet he never wavered in his duty. In Meditations, he wrote, "If it's endurable, then endure it. Stop complaining." This wasn't bravado, it was courage rooted in reason. Marcus understood that complaining or avoiding his responsibilities wouldn't change reality. Instead, he chose to face it head-on. One striking example is how Marcus handled the death of his children. Historical records suggest he and his wife, Faustina, lost several of their 14 children, some during the plague. Grief could have broken him, as it would many of us, but Marcus turned to Stoic courage. He reminded himself that death is a natural part of life, something beyond his control. In Meditations, He wrote, "You must confront your life circumstances like a soldier in battle, not like a slave fleeing from it." Instead of succumbing to despair, he channeled his grief into action, focusing on his duties as emperor and father. His courage wasn't in denying pain, but in choosing to carry on despite it. Now, let's bring courage into our world. You don't need to be an emperor to practice it. Courage shows up in everyday moments. Think about the last time you avoided something hard, a tough conversation with a friend, a career risk, or even admitting a mistake. That's where courage lives. It's in the choice to act. Even when your heart races or your mind screams to run. Consider James, a 40-year-old teacher from Seattle. In 2023, his school district faced budget cuts, and he was asked to take on extra classes without additional pay. He was exhausted, and the easy choice was to keep quiet, do the work, and avoid conflict. But James knew this wasn't just about him. It was about fairness for his colleagues and the quality of education for his students. So, he gathered his courage and spoke up at a faculty meeting, presenting a case for better resource allocation. It wasn't easy. He risked pushback from administrators, but his calm, reasoned approach led to a compromise that benefited the school. That's Stoic courage, acting for the greater good, even when it's uncomfortable. How can you cultivate courage in your own life? The Stoics give us practical tools. First, practice premeditatio malorum, or premeditation of evils. This is a Stoic exercise where you imagine potential challenges before they happen. If you're nervous about a job interview, picture it going poorly. Then plan how you'll respond with dignity. If you're afraid of rejection, visualize it and remind yourself that rejection doesn't define your worth. By mentally preparing for the worst, you strip fear of its power. As Seneca said, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Second, start small. Courage is a muscle, and like any muscle, it grows with use. You don't need to quit your job or confront a tyrant to be courageous. Start with something manageable, like speaking up in a meeting when you'd normally stay silent, or apologize to someone you've wronged, even if it feels awkward. Each small act of courage builds confidence for bigger ones. Research from the Journal of Positive Psychology in 2024 shows that small, intentional acts of bravery, like facing a fear daily, can increase resilience by up to 30% over time. Third, reframe fear as an opportunity. The Stoics believed fear is just a signal that something matters to you. If you're scared to ask for a raise, it's because your work and financial security matter. Use that fear as a guide, not a barrier. Ask yourself, what's the cost of not acting? Often, the regret of inaction is worse than the discomfort of action. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Let your fears point you toward growth. Finally, anchor yourself in purpose. Courage is easier when you know why you're acting. Before facing a challenge, ask, why does this matter? Is it to be a better parent, friend, or professional? Is it to live up to your values? When your actions are tied to a deeper purpose, fear loses its grip. As Epictetus said, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Here's a challenge for you today. Pick one small act of courage. Maybe it's sending that email you've been avoiding, having an honest conversation, or trying something new, despite the risk of failure. Before you act, take a moment to visualize the worst-case scenario and how you'll handle it. Then do it. Write down how it felt afterward. You'll be surprised how empowering it is to face fear head-on, even in a small way. Courage isn't about being fearless. It's about acting despite fear. Marcus Aurelius faced plagues, wars, and personal loss. Yet, he endured because he chose courage over comfort. You can too. Whether you're navigating a career change, a personal struggle, or the quiet battles of daily life. As we move to the next virtue, justice, you'll see how courage empowers you to do what's right, not just for yourself, but for others. Stay with us, and let's keep building a life of virtue together. We're continuing our journey through the 4 Stoic virtues, the building blocks of a life rooted in purpose and resilience. So far, we've explored wisdom, which helps us see the world clearly, and courage, which gives us the strength to act on that clarity. Now, we turn to the 3rd virtue, justice. In Stoicism, justice isn't just about laws or fairness in a courtroom, it's about how we treat others, how we contribute to the world, and how we live in harmony with our shared humanity. Justice is the virtue that binds us to one another, and it's at the heart of what it means to live well. What does justice mean in the Stoic sense? For the Stoics, justice is the practice of treating others with fairness, kindness, and respect, recognizing that we're all part of a larger human community. It's about doing what's right, not just for yourself, but for others, because your actions ripple outward. As Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "What need is there of a judge when justice is the state of the soul?" This means justice isn't something imposed from outside. It's a choice you make in every interaction, from how you speak to a stranger to how you lead a team. It's about acting with integrity, even when no one's watching. Why does justice matter now? In a world that often feels divided by politics, social media, or economic inequality, justice is the glue that holds us together. A 2024 survey by the Edelman Trust Barometer found that 63% of Americans feel society is more polarized than ever. With trust in institutions and each other at historic lows, we see injustice everywhere. Unfair treatment at work, systemic inequities, or even small slights in daily life. But the Stoics remind us that justice begins with us. You can't control the world's problems, but you can control how you treat the people in your orbit. Every act of fairness, every moment of compassion, is a step toward a better world. Let's look at how justice defined the life of Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor whose Stoic principles guided him through a reign of immense challenges. As emperor, Marcus held near absolute power, yet he never used it to oppress or favor himself. During the Antonine Plague, when Rome was reeling from disease and economic strain, Marcus could have hoarded resources or prioritized the elite. Instead, he opened the imperial granaries to feed the poor and worked tirelessly to ensure aid reached those who needed it most. In Meditations, he wrote, "Do what is just, with a kind heart, and without expecting anything in return." This wasn't just rhetoric, Marcus lived it. A powerful example of his commitment to justice came during the rebellion of Avidius Cassius, which we mentioned earlier, when Cassius, a trusted general, declared himself emperor in 175 CE. Marcus faced a choice: crush the rebellion with brutal force or seek a just resolution. Many rulers would have executed Cassius's followers without hesitation. But Marcus chose a different path. After the rebellion was quelled, he pardoned many of those involved, seeking to understand their motives rather than punish blindly. He even expressed regret that Cassius was killed by his own men, as he had hoped to resolve the conflict peacefully. This was justice in action, not vengeance, but fairness tempered with compassion. Now, let's bring justice into our modern lives. You don't need to be an emperor to practice it. Justice shows up in the small choices you make every day. It's in how you treat a coworker who disagrees with you, how you respond to a stranger's mistake, or how you advocate for what's right in your community. Justice is about seeing others as equals, worthy of respect, even when it's inconvenient or costly. Consider Maria, a 29-year-old nurse from Atlanta. In 2023, she noticed that her hospital was understaffed, leading to unequal care for patients in underserved communities. It would have been easy to stay silent. Speaking up risked her job, and she was already overworked. But Maria felt a sense of duty. She organized a meeting with hospital administrators, presenting data on patient outcomes and proposing solutions for fairer resource allocation. Her efforts led to small but meaningful changes, like hiring additional staff for high-need areas. Maria's story shows that justice isn't always grand. It's often quiet, persistent, and rooted in doing what's right for others. How can you cultivate justice in your own life? The Stoics offer practical guidance. First, practice empathy. Before reacting to someone, a rude driver, a difficult boss, or even a friend who's let you down, pause and consider their perspective. What might they be going through? As Epictetus said, when someone wrongs you, ask yourself, what beliefs or circumstances led them to act this way? This doesn't mean excusing bad behavior, but understanding it helps you respond with fairness rather than anger. Second, act without expecting reward. The Stoics believe justice is its own reward. When you help a neighbor, stand up for a colleague, or volunteer your time, don't do it for praise or recognition. Do it because it's right. This mindset frees you from resentment and keeps your actions pure. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, do good to others, and you do good to yourself. Every just act strengthens your character. Third, challenge injustice when you see it. This doesn't mean picking fights or being self-righteous. It means speaking up calmly and constructively when you witness unfairness, whether it's a coworker being overlooked for a promotion or a policy that harms your community. Start small. Write a letter, join a conversation, or support a cause you believe in. A 2024 study from Harvard Business Review found that employees who advocate for fairness in their workplaces report higher job satisfaction and stronger team cohesion. Justice benefits everyone. Finally, reflect on your role in the bigger picture. The Stoics saw humanity as a single, interconnected community, a concept they called cosmopolis. Your actions, no matter how small, contribute to the whole. Ask yourself, how can I make my corner of the world a little fairer today? Maybe it's listening to someone who feels ignored or sharing resources with someone in need. These acts ripple outward, creating a chain of positive change. Here's a challenge for you today. Perform one act of justice. It could be as simple as giving someone your full attention without judgment, standing up for a friend who's being treated unfairly, or donating to a cause that addresses inequality. Before you act, ask, how does this serve the greater good? Write down how it feels afterward. You'll find that justice not only helps others, it enriches your own life. Justice is the virtue that connects us to each other. Marcus Aurelius faced a fractured empire, yet he chose to lead with fairness and compassion, building a legacy that endures. You can do the same in your own way, whether you're navigating personal relationships or contributing to your community. As we move to the final virtue, temperance, you'll see how justice works hand in hand with self-control to create a balanced, meaningful life. Stay with us, and let's keep building a life of virtue together. Welcome back to our journey through the 4 Stoic virtues, the timeless principles that guide us toward a life of meaning and resilience. We've explored wisdom, which gives us clarity, courage, which gives us strength, and justice, which connects us to others. Now, we arrive at the fourth and final virtue, temperance. In Stoicism, temperance is the art of self-control, the ability to master your desires and emotions so you can live in harmony with reason and virtue. It's the quiet strength that keeps you grounded, no matter how tempting or chaotic the world becomes. What is temperance in the Stoic sense? Temperance, sometimes called moderation or self-discipline, is about finding balance. It's the ability to say enough when faced with excess, whether it's food, money, anger, or even ambition. The Stoics saw temperance as the guardrail that keeps you from veering into extremes. As Epictetus put it, if you seek tranquility, do less, or rather, do what's necessary. Temperance isn't about denying yourself joy. It's about choosing what aligns with your values and letting go of what doesn't. It's the discipline to prioritize long-term fulfillment over short-term gratification. Why does temperance matter today? We live in an age of excess. Social media pushes us to compare, consume, and chase more likes, more stuff, more success. A 2024 study by the University of Southern California found that 59% of Americans feel overwhelmed by consumer culture, leading to stress and dissatisfaction. Add to that the pressures of post-pandemic life, financial strain, information overload, and the constant pull of distractions, and it's easy to lose balance. Temperance is the antidote. It helps you step back, simplify, and focus on what truly matters, whether it's your health, relationships, or inner peace. Let's see how temperance shaped the life of Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor whose Stoic practice guided him through a reign of turmoil. As emperor, Marcus had access to unimaginable wealth and power. He could have indulged in luxury, surrounded himself with flatterers, or ruled with unchecked ambition. Yet, he chose simplicity and restraint. In Meditations, he wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." Marcus lived this principle. He wore plain clothing, slept on a simple cot when campaigning with his troops, and avoided the excesses that corrupted so many rulers. A striking example of his temperance came during the Antonine Plague, while the empire was in crisis, with food shortages and widespread suffering. Marcus refused to indulge in the comforts of the palace. Instead, he worked tirelessly to manage resources, often putting the needs of his people above his own. Historical accounts note that he sold imperial treasures to fund relief efforts, choosing the welfare of Rome over personal gain. This wasn't just generosity, it was temperance, the discipline to prioritize duty over desire, even when it was tempting to do otherwise. Now, let's bring temperance into our modern world. You don't need to be an emperor to practice it. Temperance shows up in the everyday choices you make. It's saying no to that extra hour of scrolling when you know you need sleep. It's choosing a thoughtful response over an angry outburst. It's setting boundaries with work to protect time for family or self-care. In a culture that glorifies more, temperance is a radical act of self-mastery. Consider Emily, a 32-year-old graphic designer from Denver. In 2023, Emily found herself burned out. She was working late nights to impress her boss, saying yes to every project, and neglecting her health and hobbies. Her stress levels skyrocketed, and she felt trapped in a cycle of overcommitment. Then, she stumbled across Stoic philosophy and decided to practice temperance. She started setting limits. No work emails after 7 p.m. One evening, a week for herself, and a commitment to eat healthier instead of stress eating. Over time, these small acts of self-control transformed her life. She felt calmer, more focused, and rediscovered her love for painting. Emily's story shows that temperance isn't about deprivation, it's about creating space for what matters. How can you cultivate temperance in your own life? The Stoics offer practical tools. First, practice the art of saying no every day. We're bombarded with temptations, another purchase, another commitment, another distraction. Before saying yes, ask, does this align with my values? Will it serve me in the long run? If the answer is no, have the discipline to walk away. As Seneca said, if you don't control yourself, someone else will. Second, simplify your life. The Stoics loved simplicity because it clears the clutter that clouds your mind. Look at your schedule, your possessions, your habits. What can you cut back on? Maybe it's reducing screen time, decluttering your home, or focusing on one goal instead of 10. A 2024 study from the Journal of Consumer Research found that people who simplified their lives reported a 25% increase in life satisfaction. Less really is more when it comes to temperance. Third, practice delayed gratification. The Stoics believed that true happiness comes from mastering your impulses. Try this. The next time you're tempted to indulge, whether it's a snack, an impulsive purchase, or a heated argument, pause for 10 seconds. Ask yourself, do I need this? What's the cost of giving in? This small act of restraint builds the muscle of self-control. Over time, it becomes second nature. Finally, reflect on your desire. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself to question his wants. In Meditations, he wrote, ask yourself at every moment, is this necessary? Try this as a daily practice. At the end of the day, journal about a moment when you practiced self-control or gave in to excess. What did you learn? How can you choose better tomorrow? This reflection helps you align your actions with your deeper purpose. Here's a challenge for you today. Practice one act of temperance. It could be skipping an unnecessary purchase, limiting your phone use for an hour, or choosing a calm response in a heated moment. Before you act, ask, is this necessary? Write down how it feels afterward. You'll find that temperance doesn't limit your life, it liberates you, creating space for clarity and joy. Temperance is the virtue that brings balance to your life. Marcus Aurelius faced the temptations of power and wealth, yet he chose restraint, finding peace in simplicity and duty. You can too. Whether you're navigating the pressures of modern life or seeking a deeper sense of fulfillment, as we move to our final section, the challenge to apply all four virtues, you'll see how temperance ties everything together, helping you live with wisdom, courage, and justice. Stay with us, and let's bring these virtues to life. We've journeyed through the four Stoic virtues: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, exploring how they guided Marcus Aurelius through a life of trials and how they can guide us today. These virtues aren't just ideas to ponder, they're tools to live by. Stoicism is a philosophy of action, and now it's time to put it into practice. Welcome to the LABE Stoic Challenge, a 4-day experiment to apply one virtue each day. This isn't about perfection, it's about progress, about taking small, intentional steps toward a life of meaning and resilience. Let's break it down, step by step, and make these ancient principles real in your modern life. Why a challenge? Because knowing something isn't enough, you have to live it. The Stoics believed that virtue is built through practice, not just thought. As Epictetus said, no great thing is created suddenly. By dedicating one day to each virtue, you'll start to see how wisdom, courage, justice, And temperance can transform the way you navigate your world. Whether you're facing a tough workday, a personal struggle, or just the chaos of modern life, this challenge will give you a framework to act with purpose. Plus, it's only 4 days, short enough to commit to, but powerful enough to spark change. Here's how the challenge works. Over 4 days, you'll focus on one Stoic virtue each day: wisdom on day 1, courage on day 2, justice on day 3, and temperance on day 4. For each day, we'll give you a specific exercise, a question to reflect on, and a way to track your progress. You don't need to overhaul your life. Just make one deliberate choice per day that aligns with the virtue. At the end of the 4 days, you'll reflect on what you've learned and how it's shaped you. Ready? Let's dive in. Day 1. Wisdom. See clearly. On the first day, your focus is wisdom, the ability to distinguish what's in your control from what isn't, and to act with reason. Your exercise is to practice the dichotomy of control. Start your day by identifying one challenge you're facing. It could be a work deadline, a family conflict, or even a personal worry. Write it down and ask, what can I control here? What can't I? For example, if you're stressed about a presentation, you can't control your boss's reaction, but you can control your preparation and attitude. Choose one action within your control to take that day, like practicing your delivery or reframing nervousness as excitement. At the end of the day, reflect. How did focusing on what I can control change my perspective? Did it reduce stress or clarify my priorities? Write your thoughts in a journal or note app. This reflection builds self-awareness, just as Marcus Aurelius did when he wrote in Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. Wisdom starts with small choices that ground you in reality. Day 2. Courage. Act despite fear. Day 2 is about courage, doing what's right, even when it's hard. Your exercise is to pick one small act of courage. It could be speaking up in a meeting, having an honest conversation with a friend, or tackling a task you've been avoiding. Before you act, practice premeditatio malorum, the Stoic exercise of imagining the worst-case scenario. If you're nervous about confronting a coworker, visualize them reacting poorly. Then plan how you'll respond calmly. Then take the action. Reflect at day's end. What did it feel like to face my fear? How did it affect my confidence or relationships? As we saw with Marcus, who faced betrayal and loss with resolve. Courage isn't about being fearless. It's about acting despite fear. Write down your experience, noting how even a small act of bravery shifts your mindset. Seneca's words ring true here. Sometimes even to live is an act of courage. Day 3. Justice. Do right by others. On day 3, focus on justice, treating others with fairness and compassion. Your exercise is to perform one act of justice. This could be listening fully to someone without interrupting, standing up for a colleague who's being treated unfairly, or volunteering a small amount of time to a cause. Before you act, ask, how does this serve the greater good? For example, if you're helping a neighbor, consider how it strengthens your community. At the end of the day, reflect. How did my act of justice impact others? Did it deepen my connection to those around me? Marcus Aurelius, who fed the poor during the Antonine Plague, showed us that justice is about putting others' needs alongside your own. Journal your thoughts, and notice how acting justly makes you feel more connected. As he wrote, "Do what is just, with a kind heart, and without expecting anything in return." Day 4. Temperance. Find balance. Day 4 is for temperance, mastering your desires to live with balance. Your exercise is to practice one act of self-control. Say no to something unnecessary, an extra hour of social media, an impulsive purchase, or a reactive comment in an argument. Before you act, ask, is this necessary? Does it align with my values? For instance, if you're tempted to binge watch a show, choose to spend that time on a meaningful activity like reading or calling a loved one. Reflect at the end of the day. How did practicing restraint make me feel? Did it create space for what matters? Marcus chose simplicity over the excesses of imperial life, finding peace in discipline. Write down your experience, noting how temperance brings clarity. As he wrote, very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself. Tracking your progress. To make this challenge stick, keep a simple journal, digital or paper, each day. Write down your chosen action, your reflection question, and your answer. If journaling isn't your thing, use a note app or even record a short voice memo. The key is consistency. A 2024 study from the Journal of Behavioral Science found that people who reflect on their actions daily are 40% more likely to sustain new habits. Tracking your progress isn't just about accountability, it's about seeing how far you've come. Why this matters. This 4-day challenge isn't about becoming a Stoic sage overnight. It's about proving to yourself that you can live with intention. Each virtue builds on the others. Wisdom gives you clarity. Courage gives you strength. Justice connects you to others. And temperance keeps you balanced. Together, they create a life that's resilient, meaningful, and grounded in what you can control. Marcus Aurelius faced plagues, wars, and betrayals. Yet his commitment to these virtues gave him peace. You can find that same peace, whether you're navigating a tough job, a strained relationship, or the daily grind. What's next? After the 4 days, take a moment to review your journal. What did you learn about yourself? Which virtue felt easiest? Which was hardest? If you want to go deeper, repeat the cycle, choosing new actions each day. Share your experience with the LABE Stoic community in the comments below. We'd love to hear how these virtues are shaping your life. And if you're inspired, hit that subscribe button to join us for more Stoic wisdom. This challenge is your chance to live the Stoic way one day, one virtue, one choice at a time. As Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Let's start today. We've reached the end of our journey through the 4 Stoic virtues: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. These aren't just ancient ideals. They're a blueprint for living well in a world that often feels overwhelming. At LABE Stoic, we believe that philosophy isn't meant to stay on the page, it's meant to be lived. Over the course of this video, we've explored how these virtues guided Marcus Aurelius through one of history's most challenging eras, and how they can guide you through the complexities of modern life. Now, it's time to bring it all together and take the next step toward a life of meaning. Let's recap what we've learned. Wisdom is the clarity to focus on what you can control, cutting through the noise of a chaotic world. Courage is the strength to act despite fear, whether you're facing a personal challenge or standing up for what's right. Justice is the commitment to treat others with fairness and compassion, building a better community, one choice at a time. And temperance is the discipline to find balance, saying no to excess, so you can say yes to what matters. Together, these virtues form the foundation of the highest good, a life rooted in character, not circumstances. Marcus Aurelius, a man who ruled an empire during plagues, wars, and betrayals, showed us what it means to live by these virtues. He wasn't perfect, and he didn't pretend to be. In Meditations, he wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." His life wasn't about chasing power or pleasure. It was about striving to be a better human being, day after day. That's the Stoic way. It's not about achieving some unattainable ideal. It's about progress, about choosing virtue in the moments that define you. Why does this matter now? Because we're living in a time of uncertainty. The post-pandemic world has left us grappling with economic challenges, social division, and a culture that often prioritizes shallow rewards over deep fulfillment. A 2024 Pew Research study found that 71% of Americans are seeking more purpose in their lives, turning away from materialism toward values like community and personal growth. The Stoic virtues offer a path forward. They remind us that no matter what's happening, whether it's a recession, a personal setback, or the daily grind, you have the power to choose how you respond. That's where true freedom lies. The 4-day challenge we shared, applying wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance one day at a time, is your chance to make these virtues real. It's not about changing your life overnight. It's about small, deliberate choices, pausing to reflect before reacting, facing a fear, helping someone without expecting reward, saying no to excess. Each choice is a brick in the foundation of a better you. As Seneca said, as long as you live, keep learning how to live. This challenge is a starting point, a way to practice Stoicism in the real world. So, what's next? Take the challenge. Start today. Pick up a journal. Set aside a few minutes each day and commit to one virtuous act. Maybe it's practicing wisdom by focusing on what you can control in a stressful situation. Maybe it's showing courage by having that tough conversation you've been avoiding. Maybe it's an act of justice, like listening to someone who feels unheard. Or temperance, like skipping a distraction to focus on what matters. Whatever you choose, do it with intention. And when the 4 days are over, reflect on what you've learned. Share your experience in the comments below. We'd love to hear how these virtues are shaping your life. This is the power of Stoicism. It's practical, accessible, and timeless. You don't need wealth, status, or perfect circumstances to live a good life. You need only the willingness to act with virtue. Marcus Aurelius faced a world far more turbulent than ours. Yet he found peace by choosing wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. You can too, whether you're navigating a career change, rebuilding after a setback, or simply seeking more meaning. These virtues are your guide. Thank you for joining us on this journey at LABE Stoic. If this video resonated with you, hit that subscribe button and join our community. We're here to explore Stoicism together, offering practical wisdom to help you thrive in any storm. Share this video with someone who might need a reminder that virtue is the highest good, and if you take the challenge, let us know how it goes. Your story could inspire others. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Let's start now, one virtuous choice at a time.